Stefan Salvatore, born in 1846 in Mystic Falls, lived a life that would be defined by love, loss, and the burden of immortality. From a young age, Stefan displayed a sensitive and compassionate nature, which often set him apart from his peers and even his own family. His humanity, empathy, and moral compass would become both his greatest strength and his most profound source of suffering. While others relished power or indulgence, Stefan struggled with his own darkness, a constant internal battle that began when he was transformed into a vampire by Catherine Pierce, the woman who would become the focal point of his heartbreak. Stefan's relationship with his older brother, Damon Salvatore, was the cornerstone of his existence. Though their personalities clashed, Stefan's discipline and morality versus Damon's impulsiveness and recklessness, the bond between them was deep and enduring. They shared childhood memories, family tragedies, and the trauma of transformation, which forged a connection that endured even through betrayal, anger, and moments of seeming irreconcilable differences. Stefan often found himself torn between loyalty to his brother and the moral dilemmas that his vampiric nature forced him to confront. Love and heartbreak defined Stefan's human and immortal life. Catherine Pierce's betrayal was his first true heartbreak, shaping his perception of love as something dangerous, fleeting, and intertwined with pain. Later, Elena Gilbert's arrival reignited his hope, showing him that love could still exist despite the darkness within him. However, even Elena's love came with challenges, as Stefan frequently struggled with guilt, jealousy, and the fear of losing control over his bloodlust, which made maintaining relationships fraught with tension and tragedy. Stefan's hardships were not limited to matters of the heart. His struggle with his darker side, often referred to as the rippera persona, haunted him for decades. Whenever he succumbed to his thirst for human blood, the guilt and remorse were unbearable, leaving him isolated and tormented. Stefan's journey is defined by an ongoing effort to reconcile his vampire nature with his humanity, a struggle that few characters in the series faced so intensely. His journey highlights the profound loneliness that comes with immortality and the constant fight to protect others even when his own life feels meaningless. Despite his suffering, Stefan exhibited resilience, compassion, and the capacity to love unconditionally. He formed deep bonds with friends, allies, and family, often sacrificing his happiness for the greater good. His moral compass, though tested repeatedly, guided him to make choices that were often painful but ultimately heroic. Stefan Salvatore's story is a testament to the weight of immortality, the depths of heartbreak, and the enduring power of love and loyalty. To truly understand the man behind the vampire, we must explore the 20 pivotal reasons that shaped his tragic, heroic, and complex life. 1. Transformation by Catherine Pierce. Stefan's transformation into a vampire by Catherine was both a gift and a curse. He was in love with her, but she exploited his feelings, leaving him heartbroken. Becoming a vampire changed his perspective on life, morality, and relationships. He struggled to adapt to his new nature, learning to control his thirst while grappling with the loss of his human innocence. The pain of being manipulated by someone he loved shaped his understanding of trust and betrayal. Catherine's abandonment instilled in Stefan a fear of vulnerability. He became cautious in his relationships, afraid of being hurt again. Every love afterward was measured against the shadow of Catherine. This event defined his moral struggle with vampirism, forcing him to reject the rippera tendencies initially. He tried to live a good life despite the curse he inherited. The transformation also intensified his bond with Damon, as both brothers navigated the same curse in different ways. Damon's reckless embrace of their nature contrasted sharply with Stefan's control. This difference caused friction but also defined their complementary strengths. Stefan's guilt over his thirst and his moral failures began here. Catherine's legacy haunted him for decades, influencing his every choice. He often questioned whether his love for Elena would repeat the cycle of heartbreak. Stefan's compassion, in part, arose from this early trauma. He became protective of those weaker than him, a direct response to his own vulnerability. The transformation also forced Stefan into isolation. The human world no longer felt like home. His early vampire experiences were filled with confusion, fear, and moral dilemmas. Catherine's manipulation taught him that love and danger were intertwined. Stefan's heartbreak became a cornerstone of his character development. He learned to temper love with caution. He struggled to forgive, both himself and others. 2. Bond with Damon. Stefan's relationship with Damon was intense, complicated, and vital. As brothers, they shared a deep love that survived betrayal, jealousy, and death. Damon's reckless nature often clashed with Stefan's disciplined morality. Yet, through every fight, they protected each other. Stefan forgave Damon repeatedly, even when Damon acted selfishly. Their bond was tested by love interests, personal ambitions, and supernatural threats. Stefan's compassion often extended to covering Damon's mistakes. They shared trauma from their human lives and the transformation into vampires. Stefan sometimes resented Damon's impulsivity but could not live without him. Damon's love, however flawed, reminded Stefan of familial loyalty. Their shared past created an understanding few could match. Damon challenged Stefan, forcing him to confront darkness within himself. Stefan's attempts to save Damon highlighted his selflessness. He often bore the emotional weight of Damon's actions. Their rivalry over Elena strained their bond but never broke it. Moments of vulnerability brought them closer, even when fighting. Stefan respected Damon's strength but feared his self-destructive tendencies. Their dynamic was a balance of chaos and control. Through every hardship, Stefan's love for Damon was unwavering. Damon's presence often provided both comfort and challenge. Stefan's empathy helped keep Damon grounded. Damon's protection saved Stefan multiple times. Their relationship was central to the narrative of both brothers. Even in times of enmity, they remained each other's anchor. Their brotherhood was a mixture of love, pain, and mutual dependence. 3. Relationship with Elena Gilbert. Elena's entrance into Stefan's life reignited hope for love. Unlike Catherine, Elena's affection was genuine and reciprocal. Stefan felt a deep responsibility to protect her. His love was tested by his vampiric nature. Bloodlust, guilt, and secrecy complicated their bond. Stefan often prioritized Elena's safety over his own desires. Their relationship was marked by moments of joy, heartbreak, and profound connection. Stefan's vulnerability with Elena revealed his human side. Conflicts with Damon over Elena intensified tensions. Elena's love challenged Stefan to reconcile his morality with his nature. He often restrained himself to maintain their bond. Their romance was both a source of strength and heartache. Stefan's fear of losing control caused distance at times. Elena's influence softened his darker tendencies. The relationship highlighted Stefan's capacity for selfless love. He risked everything for her multiple times. Elena became the emotional center of his life. Their love was tragically interrupted by external forces. Stefan's heartbreak over Elena mirrored his early pain with Catherine. Even when apart, their connection persisted. Stefan's devotion often required sacrifice. Their romance was a delicate balance of desire, fear, and trust. Stefan's love for Elena defined much of his purpose. Their bond was emblematic of both hope and tragedy. 4. The Ripper persona emerges. Stefan's darker side, often called the Ripper, first surfaced during moments of extreme stress, grief, or bloodlust. Unlike Damon, Stefan initially fought against this darkness, striving to maintain control over his moral code. Yet, the Ripper persona represented a violent, uncontrollable aspect of his vampiric nature. Whenever Stefan lost control, he experienced profound guilt and self-loathing afterward. This darkness isolated him from others, as he feared hurting those he loved. His transformations into the Ripper often coincided with personal tragedies, making his struggles both external and internal. Friends and allies grew wary of his potential for violence. He feared that anyone close to him could become collateral damage. The Ripper persona was a symbol of the tension between his humanity and vampiric instincts. Stefan's attempts to suppress it required immense self-discipline. Yet, temptation always lingered, testing his moral boundaries. Damon's approach to vampirism often clashed with Stefan's, highlighting their differences. Stefan's fear of the Ripper persona sometimes drove him to isolation. He viewed bloodlust as a moral failing rather than an inevitable trait. This internal battle became central to his identity as a vampire. Every slip into the Ripper side left emotional scars. Stefan's guilt compounded each time he heard innocence. He often sought redemption through acts of heroism and sacrifice. The Ripper persona complicated his relationships, particularly with Elena. She had to witness both his compassionate and violent sides. Stefan struggled to reconcile love with his darker impulses. His Ripper nature forced him to confront the consequences of immortality. Each outbreak was a reminder of the duality within him. Ultimately, Stefan's fight against this darkness shaped him into a complex, tragic, yet heroic figure. 5. Heartbreak over Catherine Pierce. Even after decades, Catherine Pierce haunted Stefan's heart. He had loved her sincerely, only to be betrayed and manipulated. Catherine's self-interest and deceit created a wound that never fully healed. Stefan's feelings for her shaped his approach to love and trust. He often questioned whether anyone could ever love him genuinely. Catherine's betrayal taught him caution and resilience. Her influence lingered in his relationships with others, especially Elena. Stefan feared repeating the cycle of heartbreak. Despite everything, a part of him longed for closure with Catherine. Her manipulations affected his decisions throughout the series. Stefan sometimes blamed himself for falling for her lies. He questioned his judgment and moral integrity. Catherine's selfishness contrasted sharply with Stefan's selflessness. Her legacy forced him to mature quickly after his transformation. Even when in love again, Stefan measured feelings against the pain Catherine caused. This heartbreak fueled both his compassion and his wariness. Stefan's capacity to forgive was tested repeatedly. Catherine became the standard of the dangers of passion intertwined with deception. The lingering emotional scars impacted his friendships and romances. He frequently relived the betrayal in his own mind. Stefan's moral choices were influenced by fear of similar heartbreak. Catherine's presence in his life was both literal and symbolic. She became the ghost of lost love he carried eternally. His experience with Catherine shaped his identity as both a vampire and a man. Stefan's heartbreak was profound, forming a foundation for empathy, sacrifice, and caution in love. 6. The bond with friends and allies. While Stefan often prioritized family and love, he developed strong bonds with friends and allies. Characters like Bonnie, Caroline, Matt, and Alaric became vital in his journey. Stefan's loyalty extended beyond blood relatives, showing his capacity for chosen family. He frequently put himself at risk to protect them. His friendships helped him retain a sense of humanity. Allies provided emotional support during his darkest moments. Conflict sometimes arose, especially when trust was broken. Yet Stefan's forgiveness was consistent. He valued teamwork and loyalty. Friends helped him confront supernatural threats that were impossible alone. Stefan's compassion often extended to those society overlooked. He respected the moral boundaries of friends while offering guidance. These relationships offered him temporary respite from heartbreak and guilt. He sometimes wrestled with prioritizing love, family, or friends. Stefan's protective instincts drove him to heroic acts. He occasionally faced betrayal even among allies. These experiences taught him vigilance and discernment. Friendships influenced his decisions in crises. They reminded him that connection could counter loneliness. Stefan's respect for loyalty often mirrored Damon's approach, but tempered with morality. He relied on friends to balance his darker tendencies. Their presence highlighted the importance of human connection despite immortality. Stefan's friendship strengthened his resolve to remain ethical. Even when morally compromised, he sought to honor bonds. 7. Stefan waiting for Damon or Elena to remove him from the coffin. Stefan's time trapped in the coffin at the bottom of the quarry was not just physical torture, it was psychological annihilation. Silas didn't merely imprison Stefan, he sentenced him to relive death again and again. Drowning, suffocating, waking up, drowning again, over and over, with no end, no escape, no certainty that anyone would ever come. For a vampire who already lived with immense guilt and self-hatred, this was a cruelty perfectly tailored to destroy him. Inside that coffin, Stefan wasn't just waiting for rescue, he was waiting for love to prove itself. Every moment, his mind went to Damon. Damon, who always came back for him. Damon, who had saved him countless times before. Stefan believed, almost desperately, that his brother would find him. That belief was the only thing anchoring him to sanity. Each time he drowned, he probably thought, any second now. Damon will come. And then there was Elena. Stefan had loved her with a purity that demanded nothing in return. Even after losing her romantically, some part of him still believed she would choose to save him, because that's what love does. In that coffin, Stefan wasn't clinging to anger or resentment. He was clinging to hope. Hope that he mattered enough to be searched for. Hope that his suffering wasn't invisible. But time passed. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into months. And no one came. That realization was more devastating than the drowning itself. Stefan didn't just feel abandoned, he felt forgotten. For someone who had spent his entire existence protecting others, sacrificing himself, and putting everyone else first, this was the deepest wound imaginable. His mind began to fracture. The Ripper persona wasn't born out of bloodlust here, it was born out of betrayal and loneliness. 8. Stefan giving up his marriage with Caroline to die in hellfire with Catherine. Stefan Salvatore finally had something that looked like peace. After centuries of loss, guilt, and self-denial, he stood on the edge of a future with Caroline, a future that was gentle, stable, and earned. Caroline loved him not as a project to fix, not as a fantasy, but as he was, broken, haunted, and still trying. Their marriage wasn't just a romantic milestone, it was proof that Stefan could still choose life instead of sacrifice. And yet, when the moment came, Stefan didn't hesitate. He looked at Caroline, not as a groom afraid to lose his bride, but as a protector calculating the cost of survival for everyone else. He knew that if Catherine succeeded, Mystic Falls would burn. Damon would be lost. Elena would never be safe. Countless innocent lives would disappear in hellfire. And Stefan, as he had done his entire life, asked himself the same question he always did: if someone has to suffer, why not me? Giving up Caroline wasn't easy. It was devastating in a way Stefan never allowed himself to fully feel. He didn't cry. He didn't beg fate for mercy. He simply accepted that happiness, once again, was not something meant to stay with him. He kissed his wife knowing it would be the last time. And the cruelest part was that for once, he wanted to live. Choosing to die with Catherine wasn't about love for her, it was about ending the cycle she started. Catherine was the beginning of Stefan's curse. She was the first lie. The first heartbreak. The origin of his suffering. Dying with her was poetic in the most tragic sense. Stefan didn't just stop Catherine, he closed the door on the pain she had unleashed into his life centuries ago. He walked into hellfire not as a victim, but as a man at peace with his choice. There was no fear in him, only resolve. He gave Damon the life he always wanted him to have. He gave Elena a future untouched by chaos. He gave Mystic Falls freedom from eternal fear. And he gave Caroline the hardest gift of all, safety, even if it came without him. Stefan didn't die unloved. He died after choosing love over happiness. That's what makes his sacrifice unbearable. He didn't die because he had nothing left to live for. He died because he had everything, and still chose others over himself. Stefan Salvatore didn't just give up a wedding. He gave up the one moment where life finally said, "You can rest now." 9. The doppelganger curse on Stefan Salvatore. Stefan Salvatore was never just unlucky in love, he was cursed to repeat it. Long before he understood vampires, before he understood Catherine, Stefan was already trapped in a cycle written centuries before his birth. As a doppelganger of Silas, Stefan was bound to a supernatural fate that dictated who he would love, who would betray him, and how deeply that love would hurt. His suffering was not accidental. It was designed. The doppelganger curse ensured that Stefan would always be drawn to the Petrova doppelganger, not by choice but by destiny. Catherine Pierce wasn't just a woman he fell for, she was a supernatural inevitability. Stefan's love for her felt overwhelming, consuming, and irreversible because it wasn't entirely his own. Fate pulled him toward her, wrapped desire in obsession, and disguised manipulation as romance. By the time Stefan realized the truth, his heart was already destroyed. What makes the curse so cruel is that it never offered him balance. Catherine loved survival, power, and herself first. Stefan loved devotion, loyalty, and sacrifice. The curse didn't match equals, it matched a giver with a taker. Stefan was destined to give more than he would ever receive. Even when Catherine hurt him, compelled him, and abandoned him, Stefan couldn't fully sever the emotional pull. The curse made forgetting almost impossible. Then Elena Gilbert arrived, and the cycle repeated. Stefan believed Elena was different, and emotionally, she was. But fate still twisted their connection. Their instant pull, their sense of familiarity, their deep emotional bonding, all of it echoed the curse. Stefan once again became the protector, the sufferer, the one who would step aside so others could be happy. Destiny didn't just guide him toward love, it guided him toward loss. The most devastating part of the doppelganger curse is that Stefan was never allowed a love that didn't cost him something vital. He never got love without sacrifice. Never got devotion without abandonment. Never got happiness without consequence. Even when Elena chose Damon, Stefan's role in the curse was fulfilled once again: love, loss, and self-denial. Unlike others, Stefan felt the curse. He questioned whether his emotions were real or manipulated by fate. That doubt ate away at his sense of self. He wondered if he was capable of choosing love freely or if every heartbeat was already decided. Loving became terrifying when he couldn't trust his own feelings. The curse also robbed Stefan of closure. Catherine was never just a villain he could defeat and forget. She was his destiny. His beginning. His ending. Dying with her in hellfire wasn't coincidence, it was fate completing its cruel circle. The doppelganger curse began with Silas and Amara, and it ended with Stefan and Catherine, love turning to destruction, destiny fulfilled through sacrifice. Stefan's greatest tragedy wasn't that he was a vampire. It wasn't that he was a ripper. It was that his heart was never fully his own. He loved deeply, faithfully, and painfully, but destiny made sure that love would always demand suffering in return. And still, Stefan chose to love. That defiance is what makes him more than a curse. He wasn't just a doppelganger. He was a man fighting fate. And losing beautifully. 10. Ultimate sacrifice. Stefan's story culminated in ultimate sacrifice. He willingly gave up his life to save Mystic Falls and loved ones. His death prevented greater destruction by enemies. The decision reflected moral clarity and selflessness. Stefan faced mortality with courage and acceptance. Sacrifice reconciled personal grief with heroism. It was a final act of redemption and protection. Stefan's choice spared others from suffering. His sacrifice demonstrated love, loyalty, and moral conviction. He prioritized others' lives above his own desires. Emotional farewells emphasized the weight of loss. Stefan's death left lasting impacts on Damon and allies. It symbolized the culmination of his lifelong struggle with morality and darkness. Sacrifice validated his actions throughout the series. His legacy was defined by heroism, empathy, and moral fortitude. Stefan confronted death with dignity and purpose. Friends and family mourned deeply. His actions inspired continued protection of Mystic Falls. Sacrifice resolved lingering conflicts and threats. Stefan's journey achieved closure, intertwining love, loss, and heroism. Immortality's burdens were met with courage. His legacy remained enduring and profound. Stefan's ultimate choice reflected his moral perfection and tragic beauty. Stefan Salvatore's story is one of profound duality, a life of love, loss, darkness, and redemption. From the moment he was transformed into a vampire, Stefan's journey was defined by hardship, heartbreak, and the constant struggle to retain his humanity. He faced betrayals, losses, and the haunting shadows of his own violent tendencies, yet he persisted with empathy and moral conviction. Stefan's capacity for selflessness and compassion often came at a personal cost, marking him as a tragic yet heroic figure in the world of Mystic Falls. His bond with Damon was central to his existence, providing both conflict and comfort. The brothers' relationship, though fraught with rivalry and differing ideologies, remained a testament to loyalty, love, and the enduring power of family. Stefan often placed Damon's welfare above his own, displaying a selflessness that was both admirable and heartbreaking. Their connection highlighted the complexities of brotherhood, how love can persist through anger, betrayal, and grief. Stefan's romantic life, most notably with Elena, illuminated his struggle to reconcile love with his vampiric nature. Every relationship carried the weight of his past traumas, especially his early heartbreak with Catherine. Despite these burdens, Stefan's love remained pure, selfless, and enduring. He sought to protect those he loved from the darkness within him, often at great personal sacrifice. Stefan's devotion serves as a reminder that true love often requires strength, restraint, and courage. Throughout his life, Stefan confronted his inner darkness, the rippera persona, while striving to uphold morality and empathy. His battles were not only external, against supernatural threats and enemies, but deeply internal, grappling with guilt, bloodlust, and self-loathing. This ongoing conflict between morality and primal instinct defined his character arc. Stefan's resilience, courage, and unwavering ethics distinguished him as a character of profound depth and humanity, even amidst immortality. Ultimately, Stefan Salvatore's legacy is one of love, sacrifice, and redemption. His story reflects the enduring struggle between light and darkness, the power of familial bonds, and the heartbreak that shapes a compassionate heart. He remains a figure of empathy, heroism, and tragic beauty, a reminder that even in a world of immortality and supernatural chaos, the human capacity for love, sacrifice, and redemption persists. Stefan Salvatore's journey, filled with heartbreak and triumph, continues to resonate as a testament to enduring humanity amidst the eternal night.